What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one I'm going to be talking about the SPY, the Nasdaq, the QQQs, and the indices, break down Nvidia and Apple and Tesla, and talk about what the charts are telling us for tomorrow and the early days of this week. Now, before I break anything down about this, before I get into any more details, I do have to mention a couple of things before starting. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner. Make sure you take none of this as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire community as a whole. And the last things, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, whether it's $1 or $100 is up to you. You're guaranteed up to 12 free stocks, each worth up to $3,000. And the best part is any can be a free Tesla share. It's a limited time offer. The offer ends in just 1 week. Check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. SPY was up 0.39% for the day, once again holding above 409, which is actually technically quite bullish. However, I do want to note that the unemployment data that came out on Friday was not necessarily the best. It wasn't horrible, it wasn't like too great either. We did actually still see some strength. However, what's good about it is the fact that unemployment, the latest data that came out was for the month of March, and we're actually in April, 9 days into it. And the first week of April did see some very weak looking jobs data, so it may not affect the market that badly. We might just see the market pull back just a tiny bit, and we should actually continue to keep going up very soon. Now, for tomorrow, we have the Fed Williams speaking. We also have Kashkari on Tuesday. Just a couple of pieces of data, nothing too major on Monday or Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, we have the notorious CPI report. That is very, very important because this will actually be a make or break for the rally. This will determine if the rally keeps going or if the market's about to crash. All right, CPI could crash the market, so we have to be very careful for Wednesday. It comes out right before the market opens. That means that Monday and Tuesday will be very, very interesting approaching it. What do I think is going to happen though? Now, what I could tell you is what the charts are telling us, and we actually did develop, technically, a bullish divergence on SPY that actually formed right here. I know it's a little hard to see, but SPY technically made a lower low right here, just temporarily on the 1 hour time frame. We made a higher low on the RSI. After that played out, we saw this thing continue to push, and it's holding up quite nicely. On the 1 hour time frame, the RSI is still uptrending, once again with the chart, which is quite nice. And we're about to get this crossover on the MACD and the signal line, which tells me that we're about to see some more potential bullish price action. Now, in my opinion, I wouldn't be surprised if we cool off a little bit first and we just try to keep going. But there could be many stocks out there from like Aapl to Nvidia that could actually help the market as well. So in my opinion, I think either on Monday or Tuesday, particularly Monday, I think we're going to see this thing either cool off just a tiny bit, then try to keep pushing. We might see SPY try to fight for 411. As crazy as that sounds, I still think the charts are not showing any sign of weakness. Now, the more bearish case, just in case something unexpected happens, would be a break below this 406.55 zone. If we actually break below that, then we could turn pretty bearish. But so far, it's not happening, and the odds are favoring more upside. AMC, for instance, is up 21% after the news about the lawsuits, once again continuing. Now, to me, AMC has some nice momentum, but we have to see this thing break and hold above $5 to continue it. It needs to do that. We also have high volume on AMC. As long as the volume continues to remain high, she has the potential to break above 5. For NEO, in my opinion, it's most likely going to bounce, because not only are the technicals looking more bullish, but you have to remember that we have a bullish divergence on NEO. This could be a play for a lot of people. What do I mean by that? Well, when you look at the charts, I'm going to make this bigger so you guys can see it. When you look at the charts, NEO made a higher low right here. There's a higher low right here, right? The low was way down here before, then we made a higher low. This is a very clean and clear bullish divergence. And then if you look at the MACD made a clear lower low. The MACD went lower. Look at the RSI. The low of the RSI went much lower to extremes during this free fall that NEO had after the deliveries report. And yet the share price made a higher low compared to the low way back here, right? Higher low, lower lows here and here. That tells me NEO is most likely going to bounce. We also have a possible head and shoulders developing on NEO. We have like a possible left shoulder, a right shoulder. I'm sorry, a left shoulder ahead. Sorry about that, guys. Ahead, and then a right shoulder could be developing right here. That tells me NEO could try to get all the way up to this 9.5 area. It might bounce quite nicely. On top of that, the news has been more positive for NEO, especially because the EU is now giving NEO more recognition. Just a good play I wanted to mention. For Microsoft, this is looking pretty nice. Once again, very bullish price action. It actually closed right below resistance at 292. I did mention this zone previously. It's going to likely cool off. It needs to cool off just a little bit before it tries to keep going. If it breaks 292, I'm going to be watching 295. The odds do favor upside. Now, what would be a bearish case if bad news comes out? Make sure you watch 290 and then like 288 just in case unexpected things happen. I'm not too like pessimistic or too scared. I really believe this thing's going to try to keep going. And I think Microsoft's going to try to get to 295 first before we do see it starting to fill a lot of these gaps down here. So I still think there's more upside to come. On the QQQ, it looks more bullish to me as well. The reason I say that is because we did technically form another bullish divergence on the RSI. The RSI made a higher low, right here, higher low on the RSI. Chart made a lower low right here. Just look at this move right here. And then what happened after that? Bullish bounce, which happened on Thursday. It's been holding since. It's fighting resistance at this 318 area. It might cool off a little bit and then try to keep going and try to get closer to 320 in my opinion. Why do I think the odds favor that for the Nasdaq? Because of Apple and Nvidia. At least they will play a big role. When you look at Apple has a really nice gap way up here. It's going to try to push up more. I don't know if it's going to cool off first and then try to go all the way up to this 165 to 166 zone. I do think Apple's going to try it. We're also about to get a crossover on the MACD and the signal line. And once again, Apple's just holding up quite nicely. It might help both SPY and the QQQ and also SPX and NASDAQ and etc. push up even more. Nvidia looks bullish to me. We closed just around resistance at this 270 zone, just above, barely above the 50 EMA. So that was a pretty decent close from Nvidia. I think it's going to cool off a little bit before it gets another nice bounce. And it's going to likely try to fill this gap and get all the way up to 275 very soon. It most likely will do this based off this price action. It looks like it really wants to, and we have a possible bullish triangle developing. Now, if we're bearish, just hypothetically, just in case, if something bearish happens, just watch 266 to 264. I just don't think it's going to drop too hard. I think it'll cool off a little bit and then just try to keep pushing up most likely to fill the gap. I think that's most likely going to happen, of course. But then again, please be ready. Now, for AMD, this is also looking bullish to me. Nice gap up here. Got to bounce off 90. 95 should come very, very soon over the next couple of days. It looks more bullish. Could be even forming a possible inverse head and shoulders. Maybe it cools off a little bit, comes down to like, what is this, 91.5, and then it bounces. Most likely it's going to come all the way up to about 95 or even higher very, very soon. Google, man, Google's looking good. It wants to get all the way up to 110. This was the zone I was watching. I know I forgot to mention this or draw this out, but 110 is going to be very important resistance. I think Google's going to cool off a little bit. It's up almost 4% already. Retest. It could retest 107.5, then try to bounce and get all the way up to 110. Break that. Then I'm going to be watching 112.5 is the next zone I was watching. I think it's going to break 110 very soon, or at least hold it. Looks quite nice. Meta is also looking pretty strong. It's likely going to cool off to retest 214. If it holds that, it could bounce and try to get all the way up to 217.65, and then 220 could come after that. But it still looks more bullish. There's no sign of it like tanking right now. It still has some nice strength. I think I skipped over Tesla and the VIX. Where's Tesla? Here it is. Tesla's looking very nice in my opinion as of right now. We have a possible inverse head and shoulders that's developing right here. Right, we have a left shoulder, possible right shoulder, and we were hit with some bullish news on Tesla about the new mega pack factory to be built in China. On top of that, we have a crossover on the MACD and the signal line, and also the RSI. It didn't really form a bullish divergence. I think it came close to, but it actually failed to do that. But it doesn't have to do that as long as it breaks and holds these levels. As far as the volume goes, it's pretty decent so far, but I think it's holding up nicely. Got a really nice bounce off 180. I believe, based off how SPY, the QQQ, the Nasdaq, SPX, Apple, and all of these different stocks are going to perform, I think they're going to help Tesla even more after the new Megapack factory announcement. And all of that combined will help Tesla push to at least 190, maybe getting all the way up to 195 going into next week. And I don't know. The thing about Tesla is I don't know if it's going to happen like before CPI or after CPI, but I do believe the chart is telling us very soon it's going to do that. My prediction is it's going to happen before CPI comes out. It's going to get to at least 190 to try to fill this gap very soon. But if Tesla turns bearish, just in case, we have to also watch this 183 zone around here. If it fails and breaks down, then we have to hold 180. Now, that's just a big if. I don't think it's going to crash. I think it might just cool off a tiny bit, then try to bounce and try to push well above 190 very, very soon. Finally, for what else is there? I was supposed to look at the VIX. The VIX is not showing much strength so far. It broke below 18.5. The next very important support is going to be 18, then 17.8. So far, it's continuing to downtrend, looking bearish. There's no clear sign of this thing bouncing yet. I don't know if it's going to try to bounce a little bit, then end up just continuing to drop to new lows. So far, it's looking weak. No sign of weakness yet. We need a bounce on the VIX for there to be like confirmation of the market slowing down. We don't have any confirmation yet. That tells me the market might just keep going. The dollar closed at 0%, didn't even do much. We have a doji right here on the daily. After it pushed up a tiny bit, could it come down a little bit, or is it about to get a crossover? It really depends on many different factors. I think the market has some more upside to go. I don't think it's done yet. We did see the 10-year treasury yield kind of flat, trying to hold 32.5. If it does get a big bounce, that could become bearish for the market later on. So far, we just don't have confirmation yet, and the trend has been more in favor of the bears. If you actually look at it, it's more favoring the bears, at least on these yields. That's actually favoring the bulls for the stock market, right? The bulls on Nvidia, on whatever stock is out there, SPX, SPY. So far, the signals are still favoring the market holding up. Now we do have this gap up here. I don't know if it's going to try to bounce and fill this gap. It won't impact the markets that much. It's very, very small of a bounce. That tells me maybe the market cools off just a tiny bit, and then we end up just continuing to go. I'm not seeing any signals of the market reversing, and that's why I'm telling you all, we could cool off just a tiny bit and then try to keep going, and we might see SPY try to retest 411 very soon, maybe even breaking past it. I know that the fundamentals are not aligning with what I'm saying. I know macros are not, but I'm simply just reading the chart so far. The chart still looks bullish. There is no confirmation of the market crashing as of right now, as I mentioned in my previous videos. Could the market crash in the future? Yes, it still can, but we just don't have confirmation yet, and we just have to be patient. And the charts so far are looking a little bit more bullish. So far, I'm thinking SPY is going to try to get to 411 very soon, try to keep going, and I still think the odds are favoring more upside. Now, once again, as I told you all, we could drop down on HYG just a little bit and then try to keep going, but we're about to get a bullish cross again. And we know this thing tends to push up when that happens. So what I'm thinking is, yes, the market might just drop a tiny bit and then try to get a nice bounce after that. I still think the odds are heavily favoring that, and I think the market's going to hold up for the time being. Now, as long as the market holds up, that's going to be fine. But please remember, for Wednesday, we have CPI coming out, and CPI will impact the markets big time. So please be ready for CPI. And until then, I just want to thank each and every one of you for listening. I want to keep this video a little short, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Enjoy your Easter Sunday. Remain calm, cool, and collected, and I'll see you guys once again tomorrow and very, very soon. The market to the moon as the long term is very bright, and peace out.